floating through my Facebook feed, which is it really a university that doesn't have a history department?
Yeah.
And what happens when these things get cut out? And I've been a graduate student of the history department, and it made me think a lot about this idea that we are so concerned with career-focused majors.
Yes.
And how we are articulating what the goal of a major is. And on the one hand, I think, wouldn't it be nice if we could all just agree that having a history major is good because it makes you a better, more well-rounded person. But I also know you kind of have to play the game that's being played. You
Yeah.
can't just wish for different rules. And so I wonder how we can also be encouraging departments to embrace this and say there are careers that are focused on this. I'm teaching this semester for the university because they want some career-focused classes.
Right.
So in the history department, I'm teaching public history as you can have a job in history. But I think it's so hard, and also the faculty are so under the gun to be teaching their own
Right.
classes and doing all the
And the
all the
career
other work
paths
that goes
aren't
along with it.
organized. One of the problems is that, I mean, my dirty little secret is I have a BA in theater. That was my college degree. I was in costume design and tech theater in college. And so, those career tracks, I mean, I'm a great fan of liberal arts education, and I think that history degrees do lead to good jobs, wonderful jobs. Or whatever, you fill in the blank with your degree that doesn't get measured, but the career tracks are often very unpredictable. So you can talk about it, but it's that data thing. How do we assess those career tracks? How do we describe what they are? Because they are that unpredictable sort of thing. My daughter went to college and majored, she went to Earlham College, which is a small Quaker school in Indiana. It was a transformative experience, but her major was peace and global studies. So, and I did have a moment of parental pause, probably smaller than the moment of parental pause my chemical engineering parents had when I said I was majoring in theater. I thought, okay, what's going to happen with this degree? But she's had a great career track already, and she's going to be graduating from UNC in May. And she's in the field of public health and doing kind of great things. But I think that's kind of part of it's part of the data problem, if you ask me. We know what those engineering people are going to do to some great extent. There's an organized career path out there and a direct link between the degree and what they're going to do. We know what those law students are going to do. There's a set of organized career paths out there we can measure. A lot of those history students are going to go to grad school and do something that doesn't have much to do with history at all. They're not even going to do the public history thing. They're not going to go get an archives degree or whatever else. It might be a museum manager or however else they might translate it. They're going to go to law school, and all of a sudden, So yeah, I mean, I think we have to, in the higher ed, I think we have to, faculty need to put our feet down about we need to insist that there be a qualitative aspect to assessment constantly. And we need to do whatever we can to resist that drive to reduce everything to data. Yeah. Yeah.
My question is a little different. The University of Idaho is the land-grant university for the state of Idaho. And do you have any idea of what the university receives from the federal government? And if there is a dollar amount, does this go into the general coffers, or does it go into the specific programs that are mandated by being the land-grant university, engineering and agriculture?
I don't know the dollar amount. I do know that it's decreasing. It does go into specific programs, so that those dollars that are appropriated by the federal government or that the university receives as part of its land grant mission are going into specific land grant oriented programs, mostly at U of I, but not exclusively in the College of Agriculture. Some of it's going to the College of Engineering, and some of it's going into the College of Natural Resources. So, I think less in engineering, more in natural resources. That the ag and natural resources are where the primary land grant funding exists. But I think that that's at risk for us too, because of the same declining funding. So, you know, our extension folks, who rely primarily on that land grant, of the funding of our land grant mission, they are kind of constantly under funding stress, trying to maintain that land grant mission, but to do it with fewer people. So I think that, you know, I don't know those exact dollar amounts except to say they are dedicated, they're not going into the general fund. There's a kind of a savings back process, so, you know, they're paying for things that relieve us of having to pay for some stuff. So some of those extension faculty who are on those dollars are teaching biology, right? And we're not necessarily paying their full salary. So there's some synergy there, but that decline in funding, I think, is a really significant issue. It's slowed, the decline has slowed down. It was bigger after the dot-com crash in the early 2000s. But I think it raises significant issues. That land grant mission, I think, is profoundly important for the institution. I don't think our state board understands the land grant mission. It's just kind of like, so you do this ag stuff. So, but for us, it's something we need to capitalize on. It means we've got a University of Idaho sign in every county in the state, almost every county in the state.
On the funding piece, I'm not a big fan of the Google Science Department, you know, the Google sponsored Science Department kind of stuff. But do you think there's going to be more of that corporate sponsorship of university schools to be able to help with this?
I'm not a fan either, and I hope there isn't going to be, but I think, but I tend to feel like that is gonna grow a little bit. I think those kinds of sponsorships for academic programs raise massive academic freedom issues. And, you know, they translate themselves, I don't care what the MOUs say about not interfering with academic freedom. And I'm looking at my colleagues that I know they're all kind of nodding their heads. I don't see anything moving in that direction right now at Idaho. Maybe I'm just not in the right places to hear what's going on. But I suspect it's a move of the future as higher ed operations are starved and as we are pressured to provide access for students who are coming in and less financial ability to pay. You're just going to see universities seeking all kinds of ways to expand their resource bases. Yeah.
You bring up so many different issues that can be addressed. How do you see the community, Moscow community employees supporting those? So would it be political advocacy? Would it be community mentors for some of these young students who may not be succeeding for those, quantitative type things? Is it, what is it that you would recommend?
I mean, all of the above. I think being critical but supportive patrons of the university and our community is a really important thing to be thinking about. I just looked down and realized that was Lee sitting in front of me. He's been there the whole time and I hadn't seen his face. So. I think too many times in Moscow, there's such a desire for the university to be successful that when we don't live up to expectations, the criticism is fierce and harmful and often based on not the full story. So I think, just being informed and expecting our news sources to tell a more complicated story about what's going on at the University of Idaho. I mean, I've raised lots of issues that I think are lots of problems, but I'm getting ready to retire in June, which I think a lot of you know, but I cannot think of a more wonderful place to have spent my career, or a better university. I think it is an incredible resource. All the stuff we get wrong, it's still an incredible resource. All the stuff we could do better, And so it's that balance I'd like to somehow get the word out for the community, but also, to be that important voice that says to everybody who's, kind of in that tower, wait a minute, put your feet down on the real world here, you forgot some stuff. I think we need that a lot. All of us in higher ed need to have our big toes in the real world, and sometimes I think that's part of our problem at U of I. We want to just be in an ivory tower, and we're allowed to be a lot here. So, even despite the fierce criticism, sort of like a feast or famine thing, I think, often.
Well, as follow-up to Lynn's question there, I think we have some opportunities to take the video of this production and share it with those policymakers and would-be funders for our institution. We have the prospect of a new president at the University of Idaho. We have legislative tours that come to the northern part of the state, and actually several years ago, presentations like this about the WAMI program, the medical education program, actually resulted in a greater awareness by those legislators and then an increased number of seats for the medical students here. So I think as this message gets out, the idea about qualitative and quantitative considerations of higher education, we will all be applauding Professor Liz Grant for all of her hard work here. Please join me in thanking her.